What's going on, everybody? We are finally back from the Point Moulet Waterfall Festival. So, what a great weekend it was. A lot of stuff going on there. A lot of good people met. We hung out at the GK booth all weekend, and had our booth up there. Did some podcasts, which you will be hearing here shortly. Didn't do as much as we thought we were going to do, just because of the fact that we had so much other stuff going on, and selling calls and helping selling calls, I should say, and selling our merch. And I mean, me and Trav are up here right now, and we just appreciate everybody that stopped by and supported us. So I hope you guys enjoy the guest. We have a lot of big people coming up. We met a lot of good people, so we got in contact with the right people that we will be doing podcasts with soon, and teaming up, I guess you want to say, with them guys to try to just further our the community and help out where we can. So, like I said, hope you guys enjoy these next few podcasts, and this big shout out to the Point Moulet groups and how much they helped us out this weekend. Gibraltar Duck Hunting Association, Duck Hunters Association, met those guys this weekend, which you'll hear shortly. Fish and Fowl. Some guys from the Toledo DU chapter. It was just all around great weekend. Great to talk to everybody. Great to get, waterfall season's already started, but to get a little bit more of that itch off. And, so hope you guys enjoy. What's going on, everybody? We are sitting at the Point Moulet Waterfowl Festival, 75th year here, and we got my buddy Zach George. He's brought some other fellow Ohio. We've had 40 Ohio people on the podcast so far.
Nice.
How you guys doing?
Doing good. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, no, thanks for coming out and actually doing it. I know we talked about it a few times.
Yeah.
Getting it done, but obviously location's one thing, and just life in general is another thing
Sure.
there. But we want to just kind of introduce you guys, and start with you, Zach.
Absolutely. So cool venue. We got the 75th annual Point Moulet Waterfowl Festival going on right now. So you guys will hear that in the background.
Yeah.
We couldn't have picked a better place to talk duck hunting, right?
Exactly.
But my name is Zach George. I'm the owner-operator of Fish and Fowl Adventures. We're a premier guide service fishing charter business on Lake Erie, Western Basin. We do year-round fishing, and then we specialize in diver duck hunting out of layout boats in the fall and duck season.
What's that new rig that you guys just got is awesome.
Yeah, man, I love it.
We
the way I look at this business is, if I'm gonna fun fish and fun hunt, I'm gonna not spare an expense on having awesome equipment.
You gotta do it the right way.
Yeah. So I make sure that all my clients get to experience that same level of high-end gear.
Right.
So, but yeah, I got Jimmy Katakis with me. Jimmy's he'll introduce himself, but he's my first mate full time for waterfowl season. So a lot of hunters that are coming back up with us here soon. We'll see Jimmy's familiar face, and then
That's right.
Chris Miller, a good buddy of mine. He is the co-chairman of our Ducks Unlimited chapter in Toledo in Northwest Ohio. So Chris is another cool guy to bring on. So guys, go ahead if you want to give a quick little rundown.
Flip a coin. Whoever.
Yeah, my name's Jim, again, Toledo native, Northwood, Toledo. Grew up duck hunting that area. Getting into this business started off for me walleye fishing.
Mm-hmm.
I run with another captain there out of the Marblehead area. Pretty popular captain out that way. And
Give Bear a shout out, man.
Yeah, work for Captain Bear there, Pooh Bear Charters.
Pooh Bear Charters.
Yep, Pooh Bear Fishing Charters.
I like to hear this.
He's an OG, man. He's been around Lake Erie since the 70s.
Really?
Since
Pretty
the
awesome.
70s.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So got into the world through that. I've fished with Zach quite a few years, and just getting this opportunity when he offered it to me,
Right.
it was just like a no-brainer. I was already kind of struggling, looking for what to do in the winter, being I got into this world, and it was just like, oh my God, all these stars are aligning. So it's really neat. Something that I actually had experience doing as a younger kid. My father and I had an old fiberglass style layout rig that we ran out of a little bit out of Sandusky Bay and out in the lake too. So, obviously those days are quite a bit different. Some of the technology, and I mean, like he was saying, as far as Premier service, we're really providing not only a nostalgic experience, what you're getting to do out there on the lake, because the stuff that we're hunting over, the equipment that we're using, it does have that nostalgic feel, but you're in state-of-the-art equipment.
Right.
You know, you're with an experienced captain, and,
which is
you know,
huge for safety-wise.
yeah,
I mean, that's,
and you know, just that overall experience, and no better place to come do it, especially if you're in Ohio. Come out and see us. You know?
I mean, just to experience the Great Lakes in general. Is
Yeah.
just, people don't realize how good we have it here.
Oh man, we're lucky.
It's paradise.
Yeah, that's for
We're
sure.
lucky.
And I'm Chris Miller. Zach introduced me. Zach and I have known each other for 10-ish years.
Yeah,
somewhere in that area.
long time.
We got together via a Ducks Unlimited chapter, and again, as Zach indicated, we're co-chairs. I've hunted and fished with Zach several times. More recently, in the past, we've did quite a bit of that. And Jimmy, what he just said is exactly right. He's got top-of-the-line equipment with the nostalgic feel to it. So, you know, I cut my teeth, and I'm just sitting here thinking, I think I shot my first little wood duck in a field. I'm embarrassed to say this, 49 years ago.
Oh, you're old.
I thought you were 24.
Oh yeah, I was at a function
young
the other
buck.
day.
Yeah.
Somebody said, I told him how old I was. I'm like, you're not that old. I got a baby face, but again, I've been doing this a long time, and I cut my teeth on duck hunting and goose hunting in the Lake Erie area. A lot of the fields along Route 2, which is the main corridor there, and did all kinds of hunting. I've been on a lot of fishing in Lake Erie over the years. I've gotten the downside of all that kind of stuff. I still enjoy getting out. Yeah, I like to shoot a bird. I like to catch a fish, but it's just the experience for me anymore. I just love seeing the sunrise, and whether it's turkey hunting, duck hunting, seeing that sun come up over the marsh or over the woods or whatever, that's just what I really get a kick off. Yeah, I love shooting game and eating it and all that kind of stuff too, but I really love the experience. You know, I also have went 15 years. I went to Saskatchewan and hunted the heart of the prairie potholes there.
How was that?
And that is unbelievable. And that's kind of why I got a little bit more out of duck hunting here locally, even though the hunting here is really good, because the hunting up there is just phenomenal.
Oh, I mean, that's just top of the line. You're
Yeah,
never going to
yeah.
experience anything like that.
No,
up
again,
there.
you shoot, you know, I was telling one of the guys here I drove up here with today, my brother and I hunted some DU land up there, and that's kind of why I got involved in DU years ago. But my brother and I hunted it 2 miles by 2 mile square marsh area. The first day we went up there, we shot our 16 ducks, and we had 9 different species of ducks that day.
Wow.
That next day we went back there, the same area, and we shot our 16 ducks, but we only shot 8 species of ducks. So the variety of ducks you get up there, let alone the cranes and the Ross geese and the snow geese and Canadas and cacklers and speckle bellies, I mean, you get it all up there.
That's
So
insane.
I got really spoiled going up there. I miss it up there. Someday I'm going to get back up there. But so I've did all kinds of hunting and fishing throughout that 49 years. I can't believe it's been that long. That's a little bit of my story there. So.
I mean, I think that's a big thing for even me, you know, and being even younger, like experiencing like you said, like the sunrises. I'm sure you guys are the same way, especially getting out there in the morning with clients and stuff like that. What about? I mean, are you guys going in layout boats at all? Like, are you guys shooting at all, or like? Because I know you guys probably are dying to get into it on some days.
Yeah, man. I was just
sore
telling
subject for this
a
guy.
story this morning about I was in a layout boat one time last year, and it's been 2 years before that since I was in one.
See, I've never done it.
I got to go in a couple.
Oh man,
That's for sure.
yeah. Jimmy's getting in a couple times, but no, man. My gig is we start our charter runs for our ducks the first weekend in November, and it runs through Christmas primarily.
Right.
So I get a chance to go up to Saginaw Bay and fun hunt October, which gives me enough time to kind of
yeah.
have the barrel in my hand myself. And then I'll get out and I'll do a quick little marsh hour here and there, next to the house. But no, I don't get a chance to be in a layout boat a ton anymore, which is okay, because Chris alluded to something that I think a lot of duck hunters find as they do it a little bit more, and that's that there's more to it than just the shooting a duck,
100%.
So I get to drive the boat all day long. Like I get to be there at the ramp early in the
See the
morning,
smiles
see
on the
new
clients
faces
and,
come in. Yeah, man.
Watching the birds come on in.
Yeah, dude. Our hardest day of the
Watching
year
them
is
miss
our
on
client's
everything.
favorite day of the year, So I love it, man.
Now, how do you guys go about with like even the bad days? Because obviously there's bad days. There's clients
Sure.
that are getting upset out there, clients that are not happy at the end of the day. How do you guys go with making sure that they're having the best time, or making sure their spirits are still
Yeah.
high.
So the outfitter business, in my opinion, is client relations, right?
Yeah.
It just so happens to be the product that we're interacting with clients on is the outdoor experience. So it's all about being human, man. You know, you just got to treat people like people. Like, I don't oversell anything. You know, we work as hard as we possibly can to make sure everybody has the best day ever.
Oh yeah.
And I don't want to give opinions on my own personality, but I always try to be upbeat, man. Like,
Yeah.
I try to have fun with the guys. Layout hunts are cool because if you haven't experienced it, it's unlike anything else. But the best description I could give you, it's like deer hunting a big buck. It's the solidarity, it's being in their element of that.
Yeah.
But then it's the camaraderie of fishing or being in a duck line with a bunch of guys all at the same time, right? Because you got the tender boat switching people in and out. So, yeah, man, we have a good time. But of course, there's days where somehow it'll be November and it's 70 degrees and there's no wind and
Gotta
birds just
love
don't
it.
want to move. And
Gotta love it.
you know, we work with our clients to try to get back out same season or next year, you know, or do something, you know. But I'm always willing to go the extra mile to make sure
Now-
people are happy.
We talked about it a little bit before we started this podcast about like the Canada side of things. With us being so close to the Canada border on the water, even in the fields over there, you guys ever think about like taking clients over to that side and like, you know, even longer seasons? And I mean, I know it's a process
We were
to get
actually
over
talking
there.
a
but-
little bit about some of the legality and some of the different things that are involved with guiding in other states and stuff like that. Like,
Yeah, there's a bunch of stuff to that. Like
sounds like a lot. But
I lived in Michigan for the last almost 10 years before moving back down to Ohio.
Okay.
And but I've still ran my business out of Ohio.
Gotcha.
I did have my Michigan, you know, inspections
License
and boat
and
stuff
stuff.
that I needed to, just in case I was ever on Detroit River on a trip or St. Clair. And I remember when I started this, I wanted to go everywhere. I wanted to start my year on Lake Erie, then go to the Maumee River, then go to Detroit River, and then go back to Lake Erie, and then duck hunt both states. And it's just so hard to stay on top of the birds and stay on top of the fish when you move back and forth. So I've really tried to specialize in
One
things,
area.
you know. So my extent of moving is not necessarily like bodies of water. You know, we're Lake Erie primarily, but fishing season will start in the Western Basin, and we'll start moving towards the Central Basin as the summer goes on, and then it kind of starts moving back to the west. And then duck hunting is primarily Western Basin, but I mean that's huge. You know,
Right.
that's-
There's
you're talking Toledo to, you know, Sandusky
Exactly.
and anywhere in between. You know, so
That's I actually just had a DNR officer on last week, so his will be dropping soon. But he was talking about how the marshes down there are getting like just the Phragmites and everything are just taking over the
yeah, man.
marshes.
We were talking about that on our way up here.
yeah.
So I mean, you guys kind of talk a little bit about that as well. I mean, does that affect you guys? Does that? I mean, I know you guys are more divers and stuff, but I mean, does that?
Yeah, it doesn't affect us on the open water, but what it does affect is it affects the ducks, right?
Right.
And how long the ducks want to stay here. How many ducks we hold year round. Like, can a local population have enough breeding ground between modern farming practices and then also not having marsh grass and stuff in our marshes, having more Phragmites that are so dense and things, but you know, that's more of a question for the scientists. All I know is what I see on the water, what I see in the skies. You know,
Aesthetically,
but
too,
we make it work.
Like we was talking, being a kid hunting that area, you never seen that stuff, and then just like it was like an overnight type thing. Like it was all cattails, it was all, you know, native grasses and stuff like that, and I mean it's really changed the lay of the land. You know?
Yeah, for sure.
Well,
So it's-
Zach and I have been part of
Visually.
the Ducks Unlimited committee, and we've talked to some biologists that actually work for Ducks Unlimited, and that's been a growing concern, I think, from those wildlife biologists. And as Zach indicated, you know, those guys are the really go-to gurus to know all the details
Right.
about it. There has been a huge push in Ohio from the legislative standpoint also of creating more wetlands. If you're not familiar with it, there is a algae bloom problem in Lake Erie, and those wetlands act as a sponge, and that's obviously what Ducks Unlimited does, is try to conserve wetlands to help those kinds of things. And there's an H2O Ohio project that's going on that's right from the governor. That all that stuff helps benefit things. And there's more and more, I think, increase from a legislative standpoint to get more of a presence of wetlands in Northwest Ohio, because it's a fraction of what it used to be in the day. But again, there's more and more progress in making these kinds of things. But again, the biologists indicate to us, to your point, that getting those invasive species out of the wetlands is really cumbersome and trying, because I don't think there's a magic wand you can do to to get rid of those kinds of things.
I mean, it's going to take years and years, and a lot of people. I mean, it's almost like this event here. Like this event, previous years it's been slower, and some years it picks up, but nobody can complain about anything without actually taking the right steps of helping out where they
You
can.
got to take action. If you're going to complain,
Right.
you better also come up with a solution, right? So
It's like voting, but like complain about who got it. It's just
yeah,
one
man.
of
If
those
you're going to
things.
complain about who got it, you better vote, right?
Yeah,
if you're going to
right.
complain about the habitat,
Yeah.
you sure as hell better be spending your time helping out an organization that is, working on conservation and preservation of properties, or just getting in the field and doing something else in your own land.
Yeah, for sure. Creating your own habitat, like inland or
man,
whatever.
You got a half acre, quarter acre, you plant some natural grasses or something versus, our pretty lawns that we mow so much. I mean, every little bit helps.
That way
So-
the Southerners can get mad at us for keeping all the ducks up
Yeah,
there.
oh, yeah.
Feeding them with corn.
There
or
was
bread or
a
whatever.
marsh that I was interested in leasing years ago, and it's right over the border in Erie, Michigan, and just a small little marsh. But part of the deal was if we got into it, this guy on this marsh, we had to help take care of the Phragmites. And he had a burn plan for him and stuff, and he said, I'm not kidding you, man, it's a lot of work, it's a lot of sweat equity, and you're in the heat of that marsh in the summer, and there's mosquitoes, and it's humid, and he said, it's brutal, man. He said, but we got to do that to keep these Phragmites out of the marsh and stuff, too. We never did pursue the lease or anything, and somebody snatched it up before we finally followed up.
Well, hopefully
That
they
was-
were able to actually go through with all of that.
that was
stuff.
part of the gig, though. If we wanted in that marsh, we had to help take care of the Phragmites in there. So.
Yeah, I mean, it just gets annoying after a while. Just people complaining about this, complaining about that. The birds are lower. The bird, you know what I mean? And just you see them on their couch when volunteers are going out cleaning up the marshes or whatever it is, and
It's a big deal, man.
especially with like the fundraisers and stuff. Like the mud runs that how I met you, and all that goes a long way, and people don't realize
Man,
that.
anything you can do, right? So some people don't have money, so they donate time. Some people have money, but they don't have time, so they donate money.
Yeah, exactly.
Literally anything you can do to help is worth its weight, in that effort, no matter what it is. So.
Yeah.
It's like you'd take care of things at your own home. You'd fix some of this and that to make sure your house is a better place to live. Why wouldn't you put a little bit of time and effort towards changing some of those things where you're going to be out there hunting and fishing alike?
Rome wasn't built in a day, so you know what I mean.
True.
It takes time, and
Well, when we were kids, with one of the big parts of Zach's business is fishing down there on the river, man. And I mean, when we were little kids, people would catch carp, catch buffalo carp or sucker or whatever, and they would throw them up on shore, and I mean, it would litter the place up. It would make the whole area just stink.
Yeah, you don't see that anymore, which is good.
And now people I've seen it in my lifetime. Somebody does something like that. There's like the next person that's next to you is going to say something. Hey, don't do that. What are you doing?
which, and like I said, like that's the whole point of this. Like, most of this podcast is like teaching people that maybe don't know. This guy passed a little bit here. That don't know the right ways and just grow up and go out there and just do it, which also a good way of just getting people out and more people involved with it all. But I mean, teach people the right and wrong ways and different ways of doing stuff, and it has came a long ways. But when you guys are out there diver hunting, I mean, what you guys shooting anything crazy out there? Just,
We do. Some really crazy stuff the last couple of years.
Let's hear some stories.
All right. I'm good at the stories, but
well, I mean, you also fish, so I mean, you know how that is.
no, my wife jokes. She says you should never trust me because I'm a fisherman and a
Right,
salesman.
exactly,
So
exactly.
I got double whammy. But no, we last year we got a cool crew that comes in for opening weekend every year of our second split. BB Waterfowl.
Okay.
And with super cool guys, they make field stakes that you can take a floating decoy, slide it into the stake, and stick it into the ground.
Do they have the orange feet
shout
on
out-
them?
Yes.
BB Waterfowl.
Yep,
Okay,
yeah,
I've
yeah.
seen those a lot
Yeah.
then.
Shout out to Bill Brooks and Brandon of BB. But
Oh yeah.
no, so those guys last year on opening day, we hunted in Maumee Bay and we shot double-digit scoters
Really?
on a layout hunt. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
To shoot double-digit sea ducks in an area that you primarily wouldn't think of as a sea duck
Yeah,
place.
for sure.
So that wasn't. The rarity wasn't shooting the sea duck because the last 5 to 10 years we've been seeing more and more scoters.
Yeah.
But being able to shoot that many
That
in one
many,
hunt was
yeah.
pretty crazy, right?
Yeah.
Usually that's our season. We'll shoot 10, 15 in a year.
All year, yeah. Not
not
hunt.
12 or 11 in one day.
Exactly.
So
Anxious
that was
to
cool.
see what happens next couple.
I know,
next
man.
season,
I know.
First couple of days.
But we had
Maybe
a guy.
we'll be out there scoter hunting.
Yeah,
You
seriously.
never know, man.
We had a guy 2 seasons ago. Yeah, I think it was 2 seasons ago. shoot a eagle-headed snow goose out of a layout spread. We were probably,
I think I seen you on Snapchat or something.
man,
You
probably
posted about
3
it.
miles off ashore. Like, it came in like a bald eagle. It came
Really?
in high like you'd see an eagle, and it came down over top the spread like a seagull or an eagle would. And then all of a sudden the client shot it, and I'm like, oh my God, what was that? I hope to God it was something that we could shoot,
Right.
because I'm in the tender boat and I'm
Freaking
500
out.
yards away or something, right? I didn't have a chance to pull up binoculars yet, and so I get in there, and man, I see what it was, and when I'm within like
Freaking
50
out.
yards, I'm screaming and yelling, and my hands are flying, and I immediately called my taxidermist buddy. And I'm like, I need to know exactly what this is, because I already knew I needed to take good care of it.
Yeah.
The guy needed to put it on the wall, but man, that was cool.
I've been
That's
seeing a
something
lot
you see
more
every
though.
day.
A lot
Oh,
more
yeah.
snows around
Absolutely.
lately. Like even for what was it, the second weekend I believe it was, we had snow geese migrating right over top of the fields.
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't a lot of them, but still, I mean, there's a lot more snows. We're shooting snows every year now. out
We
in the
didn't see
fields
that
and stuff.
15 years ago here.
Which is nuts.
Yeah.
I mean, it's still very, very rare
Sure,
around, but I
definitely.
mean, it's. I don't know. I think, in my own opinion, I almost think that the migration has shifted a little bit.
Yeah, we're seeing small changes for sure, and it's building year over year.
Yeah, even I heard Wisconsin, I believe it was, is getting a lot more sea ducks over there.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like you said. Let's see what happens in the future.
Sure.
Maybe range too. I mean, they have these conservation hunts. There's so many of them birds in general. Like maybe range just has to grow for that animal in
Yeah.
order for it to continue to survive.
Yeah.
So I mean,
There's two big birds that we're not hunting them, but birds that you see that we didn't see 15 years ago that are here now. We see pelicans on
Yep.
Lake Erie. Where,
Yep.
that 10 years
North
ago
American
was unheard of,
It's
right?
ra- yeah,
and now they're
it's
here.
insane
And,
to see.
I mean, there's 1,000 of them here at any given time.
It's pretty cool.
They're
Yeah.
nesting here. They're living here too. So that's a cool change to see. We're seeing sandhill cranes pick up a ton.
Yep.
I know, like, the western side of Michigan has seen those
They're
over the
thick.
last 15 years or so, but we really haven't until the last 5 years.
Yeah.
And now, I live near the marshes in northwest Ohio, and there's a bunch, man. I mean, there's a feed going on next to my house right now of like 100 of them with a bunch of geese.
Waking you up
that's
in the
cool
morning.
seeing.
Right.
Yeah, like I said, I hunted a long time along that same area, and I can't speak behalf of you're exactly right that
Never
we
saw
never saw pelicans out there.
Yeah.
I was just hunting last weekend back in Ohio, there early goose, and we're in a field and had 100 pelicans fly over us, and again,
So
something
cool.
you would have
Just a
never
sight
saw
to
years
see
ago.
there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I got
They're
video of
huge.
it. It's really cool. So, but the other thing, we're just seeing species now. There was 5 or so years ago, we were hunting that same field, and we had 4 snows come in, and we shot 3 of them. And I don't think I've ever shot snows in 40 plus years out of
Yeah.
there. So again, those kinds of birds are coming more and more frequently. Cormorants, everybody thinks you see them all the time, but as a kid, you never saw cormorants out there.
See, that's even just crazy to hear
so,
now
yeah.
too, because cormorants are everywhere. out
Yeah,
there.
yeah, they just were never around.
they were nearly shot out of existence. I read an article, I think of 1895 or something like that, and they didn't commit to them having a sustainable population again until 1995.
Wow.
Really?
So almost 100 years it took for that bird to come back. It's nuts.
Which they are absolutely terrible around here. 'Cause, I mean, almost every single dead tree you see out here
Oh, yeah.
is just all
Their
cormorants.
feces is
It's-
super acidic. Yeah,
it's crazy.
I remember the first time I really realized the nuisance they were. It had to have been in the early 2000s. Mike Rowe did a Dirtiest Job episode
Yeah, yeah.
on West Sister. In the Western
Abandoned them
Basin.
all or whatever.
Yeah, I don't know what they call it, like Poop Island or
Yeah.
something, but they were going
Might
underneath all
as
these
well be.
trees, and feces falling all over them. But yeah, they're bad, man. Who knows? Maybe one day we'll get a season on them, like Canada's starting to
I was
open
gonna
up.
say, Canada's got one.
That
open.
east side of Middle, if you've ever been up there, you were up there fishing that one
Oh,
day
yeah.
with us up there. If you look at that east side of Middle Island too, it's just ravaged by
Oh, you look at dead trees everywhere.
Yeah.
Mostly it's either the water came up over the last 10 years or it's from them farms.
So not just their feces you're talking about, but they're taking out all kinds of game fish too.
Oh, that's a
man.
big deal, too.
They're on
Yeah.
that lake feeding on whatever it is, smallmouth, walleye, perch, all the stuff that we catch
I've
all
seen
the
one
time.
swallow like a 20-inch walleye one
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
not even batting an eye about it.
Right.
It's
You gotta
nuts.
think though, it's something that niche needs to be filled.
Mm-hmm.
That creature has to do that job. Whether they have the impact that they have, whether their numbers are right or wrong. I mean, it's just like the Bills. We were just talking about how they get their count. It just sounds so crazy to me how they're able to even get that count.
Bird number wise,
Yeah.
Yeah.
it is kind of
So it's-
crazy sometimes with like just flying over. Like
it's like that's so many animals to figure that number,
Right,
and
right.
then to know that their rate is enough to sustain the fishery itself, because they do have an impact, but it's probably necessary at certain rates because our shad and
Yeah, I mean, from a fish population in Lake Erie, like walleyes at its highest population it's ever been in recorded history. I know perch, there's areas that are low. Perch is relatively high too, in all of Lake Erie, but it's more than just Lake Erie. I think there's a lot of places that cormorants are.
sure.
They just
I
have no
see
natural
them eat
predation.
walleye.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I've
I
actually
believe it.
physically seen it.
I believe it. And even in our inland ponds now, like where I'm hunting at, we're seeing them all the time over there.
Yeah.
It's like same thing. You never even used to see them over there,
no.
you know.
Right.
Yeah, the bird count is a very weird thing to me though too. With like, especially with us being so close to the Canada border here, how they can shoot this amount of birds and then we shoot this amount of birds. Like it just, I think they can shoot 6 mallards. I believe it. I could be way off on that.
I'm pretty sure they can shoot 6 ducks.
But they could, it could be 6.
They get 6 ducks. It doesn't matter what it is.
Right, but then we have 4 mallards over here.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's just crazy. I could literally go 10 miles into the water here,
Oh, yeah.
and it could be a whole different thing. Even with the walleye, too. I mean, the walleye for Canada, there's no limit on the walleye, or no size limit, I should say.
Sure.
You know, it's
There's
just-
not much sport fishing for walleye up there, though, which is crazy to me
Yeah.
also. It seems like anyway.
Yeah, there's so many different. I've heard so many sides of the whole bird limit thing. I've heard things as far as there's just not as many hunters that hunt Canada, that hunt in the United States. So just by the sheer difference of volume of the birds being taken by hunters, they can be a lot more lenient on their limits versus us. I am all for being as protective as we can of all these subspecies of all these animals.
Yeah.
But we just gotta make things simple.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's usually my thing. Like I'm cool. If you give me stats from some biologist, man, I'll listen to them.
Yeah, for sure.
And if
sure.
it helps us, if it helps the next generation be able to shoot birds and
That's
catch
the biggest
fish
thing.
like we can, or better,
Yeah.
man, I will jump through every hoop you tell me to.
Yeah.
But just got to make it simple. Sometimes it is complicated for guys or women or children.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
if we can make it easier, that would be my suggestion.
You guys, speaking of like children out there, you guys take a lot of like younger kids out there, and how do you guys go about
Oh, I
that?
can't
that's
wait.
got to be a
So,
tough thing.
I
in
got
the
2
layout
little
mode,
girls,
though.
man.
You're probably
I'm
chomping at the
pumped.
bit.
Yeah, 4-year-old and a 1-year-old. So
Yeah, for the charter business, hunting
wait.
it's 16, and 16 and older, which I would love to be able to take 10-year-olds out
Right,
duck hunting.
right.
And I'm a big proponent of you should be able to start them as early as you possibly can. But layout boat hunting
It's
on a
a
Great
dangerous
Lake,
thing, man.
that's a different animal.
Especially Lake Erie with how
yeah.
crazy it can get in a
and
heartbeat.
even for us, or for me anyways, even 16 and 17, it's only with repeat people that
Okay.
I've hunted with their dad before,
I gotcha.
and I can trust that he's going to have his son educated
Yeah.
and stuff. But fishing will go down to 10 because fishing's
Okay.
a little different, right? It's
Yeah,
a little
right,
easier. Like I can
right.
control a lot more
Right.
when we're fishing. So, Maumee River stuff, usually I don't suggest you bring a 10-year-old on the Maumee River.
I was going to
It's-
ask you about that.
It's rod
too.
in hand, it's casting, that's hard on a kid.
Mm-hmm.
But I tell you, the longer I've been in this business, the more I've seen the difference between good parenting and bad parenting.
I believe
And,
it.
Man, a good parent, as soon as that kid gets bored, they're like, all right, let's go.
Yeah.
Bad parents like, shut up and sit down.
Yeah, here's my phone.
Just deal with it.
Yeah.
We paid this guy for 5 to 6 hours. We're staying,
Right.
But
And, I mean, at the end of the day, you got to make sure they're comfortable out there. You
Absolutely,
don't want to
man.
push them away from the
oh
sport.
no,
Because
No doubt.
man, there's days where I'm just messing around, joking with the kid because I can see him bored.
Yeah, yeah,
an
exactly.
hour or two, and I stop fishing. I'll stop doing everything just to
Right.
hang out with them.
sometimes they're just a stick, man, and get on the boat and just put you under the table too. Put fish in the box.
Yeah,
That's
sometimes they're
true.
good.
When I was a
Who
kid,
taught
I was
this
that
kid?
guy that Dad said, hey, we're hunting this long, and you don't have a choice, And this was way before the Gore-Tex and Tinsolate and all that kind of
Oh,
stuff.
yeah.
We'd go get
Freezing
stuff
your
from
butt
the
off.
Army Navy surplus thing and where that's
Yeah.
kind of stuff.
Wait, you're telling me you weren't
But,
comfortable out in the cold
Well,
49 years ago?
Well, I wasn't, but I just dealt with it. That's what Dad had, and for whatever brain dead reason, I just still enjoy doing
Stuck
it.
with
But
it?
everything I've read and heard, I don't have kids, but is exactly what you said, Zach. Is that you got to make it fun for the kid, man.
That's right.
Yeah.
And if he's bored, if he's tired, he or she, I shouldn't say he, if he or she is bored, tired, whatever, hey, you had your good time with them, and get them back out, make an enjoyable
Take
experience
off,
for
get
the kid.
some lunch.
Yeah, so
something.
yeah, exactly. Make it
Change
fun.
it up.
If you need to take a little Game Boy or something rather for the kid to interact with a little bit while he's doing that and you're still out fishing or whatever. So be it, man. Just make it fun for the kid that's out there. So
Yeah.
And you hear every single year that the numbers are going down with hunters and license getting
Yeah.
bought,
Yeah.
and it's just, I mean,
Yeah.
that's a huge thing right there for kids just to start up and like you said, make it fun for them, make it enjoyable.
Yeah, you got to get them outdoors. You know, you got to get them just doing something that they can gain value in.
Right.
You know, and it's not all about these big bird counts or big fish counts. It's just simply about having a good day.
Yeah.
Gaining a connection, you know, with the outdoors and the people you're spending time with, you know, and stuff. It's awesome. But yeah, you know, get kids started as early as possible.
Definitely. And these groups like Ducks Unlimited and some of these other organizations, DNR itself down there in Toledo, they have an archery shoot that they can bring all these kids in. It's right downtown. I mean, it would shock you to see where they have this little deal set up. But I mean, they're getting kids shooting bows. You know, with Ducks Unlimited, I was a kid that I got that intro through the Green Wings. You know, with Ducks Unlimited, and you know, some of those programs, it's like it really takes nothing as a parent to like, hey, let's check this out. What do you think? You know,
Right.
come along with the Boy Scouts or Girl Scouts and stuff like that, where they can have a little bit of a different deal to go check out. And if anything, one of the cool things about the Green Wings, it was like from a conservation aspect, it wasn't even necessarily a lot of times about duck hunting. You got to go out and learn about habitat, and you got to go out and learn about some of these animals out there that
That's cool, man. I mean, that's,
you didn't know about before.
you know, that's Chris and I with our endeavors in DU. We always talk about how do we get more kids at our events. You know, how do we entice parents to bring, you know, little ones here and show them a good time. So I love it. You know, I'm always game for doing as much as we can to get them started. So.
yeah, we try to embrace kids at our banquet and stuff too to get them to come, and they always walk out. Zach can testify to this. They always walk out with something, and they don't have to buy a raffle ticket or anything. They're getting free stuff from us just to make it more interactive for them. And you know, I can remember as a kid, you walk out with a hat or something, and we think, oh, you know, I got 50 hats at home or something or other.
Yeah.
But a kid to get a hat, you know, or me to get a hat back in the day, I'm like, cool, man, I got a Ducks Unlimited hat.
Right.
Yeah.
So kids get all fired up and excited about that. So we try to endeavor to do those kind of things at our banquets.
I mean, even here with like GK being generous enough to donate, I think they're donating up to 100 duck calls for these kids today.
Yeah, there's a bunch of them.
And-
It's awesome.
and- yeah,
Gibraltar
different-
Duck Hunting Association.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, some of those things are just great to have, and
I think that's a really cool way too. Like, you know, my introduction to bow hunting up there at Tomahawk Archery right here in Michigan, you know, they used to have an elk calling competition for the youth
That's
and stuff
cool.
like that to get into. So I mean, like, you know, my dad was out shooting bulls in Colorado, and you know, that kind of stuff already was kind of, I wanted to know more, I wanted to see more, and you can get out there and make some noise as a kid and learn about some of that stuff. You know, maybe that'd be something for your young ones. Here, you have a duck call, get some cheap, you know, duck calls, provide each one with them, and then, you know, have a duck calling competition. You know,
we've learned through
make
our
some
banquets
noise.
to avoid duck calls at the onset of it because those kids will blow them on them all day, and it gets a little annoying.
Yeah.
So
Do that at the
if
end.
we do it at the end when you're walking
Yeah.
out. Here's your
Yeah.
duck call.
I get outvoted on that because I want to give the duck calls to kids right away, and I don't care how obnoxious they are. I want them to have fun.
well, the
right?
thing is that like you don't have to deal with it in the car on the way
Yeah.
back home.
Right.
You know
Yeah,
what I
that's
mean?
true.
That's the
Yeah,
Yeah,
biggest
do your
thing.
little calling competition just at the end, you know,
Yeah.
something cool for the kids
Yeah.
to make some noise and
That's
be
what
a
I'm
part
already-
of it, you know.
So I want to touch on something you just said, Jimmy, because I think this it goes along this talk track, but I think it gets missed commonly, and that is that there's a lot of kids today that don't have adults in their lives that are into the outdoors. Right.
Yeah.
No doubt.
And I think sometimes young parents or even grandparents, they see hunting, fishing, they see these outdoor activities, and they're like, man, I just don't know a lot about it. I'd love to get my kid involved, but I can't, right? So there's so much stuff out there that you know, I think people just don't realize. You know, you have so many different organizations. There's a company or a nonprofit out of Detroit called We're Fixing to Fish.
So cool.
You can take your kids there, and people will literally teach them how to fish and give them fishing tackle. There's awesome donors and things that do that. You got Gibraltar Duck Hunting Association, you know, that's here at the Point Mulet Festival. They do a big youth hunt, and they help kids, and every kid's walking away with something. Same thing with our Ducks Unlimited banquets. I mean, usually the parents are going to need to come to that, but there's just so much stuff out there. You know, me personally, like, I fished growing up. My dad and my grandfather fished, so they got me into fishing. But you know, that really kind of stopped at a young age, and then I went from like 10 to high school. It was just on my own. Like, and if I didn't do it on my own, I wasn't going to do it. And I didn't start duck hunting anyways to my early 20s.
Right.
I mean, I remember shooting my first goose. It changed the course of my
life-changing.
life. Like the trajectory of my life it's completely different.
When you
than
hear
it
one of
would
them
have been.
things hit the water, the
Yeah,
ground,
you know, so
life-changing.
you don't have to be a person that was brought up in the outdoors to really get into it and to start enjoying it. You know, you can dabble in it really, really easily. You know, if you just take kind of a little bit of time and effort to do so. So don't be
we
afraid
need
to start.
every person that we can get with a hunting and fishing license in their back pocket right now. I mean, there's never been a call more for, I think, that across the country. I mean, the more people you got that are into that life, and you know what, you don't have to be a hunter or a fisherman to pay into that, because, you know, like we've talked years past about this, you know, federal wetland stamp. You know, I mean, like, what's the big deal? Like, if you really like to provide for the, you know, natural resources that we have available to hunt, you know, what a better way, especially if you're a bird watcher, you know, which is more power to them. I think that's a fantastic thing to get into. And like we talk all the time, like, I just love watching them birds fly in.
Yeah.
I mean, we're trying to ID them the best that we can. We're taking pictures of them. I mean, I'm taking a video like every day. He's like, you just still can't get enough of this.
The two of us are like little kids on
Yeah,
a boat together.
Every
with
time
you.
we see them ducks fly around.
I
man,
went
it's-
to a little local duck club. It's a public duck club back in March, the migration back north, and just sat there. And I sat in that marsh for 2 hours just watching birds bomb in.
So cool.
That was
and
it was the new Howard Marsh, wasn't it?
No, I went over to Mallard Club.
Was it Mallard
Yeah,
Club?
Just
Okay.
sat on a tree stump there and, yeah, you know, full plume pintails and widgeon
how
and
cool.
ringers and all kinds of birds in that marsh. And I found myself being a little kid there, just sitting there.
Yeah,
and
right.
I wish I would have had a camera or something or other. But girlfriend come like, "Where are we at?" I'm like, "In the marsh." She goes, "What are you doing?" I said, "Just sitting there watching ducks." And, so that kind of stuff is what I like to do as a kid, and still what I like to do as an adult.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
I
that's
just feel like it's a great way to give back. So if you're out
for
there
sure.
doing that kind of stuff, why not buy a federal wetland stamp? You know, buy a residential habitat stamp and all that stuff. And
Now, what's your
Just do your
thought
thing.
process on, you know, you got your photographers in the marsh.
Yep.
What are your thoughts on, like, them buying the duck stamps too to be able to access
that's
those?
kind of what I'm getting at, you know. I mean,
'Cause, I mean,
you're
that's
out
a
there-
big
To be
one.
able to access a march.
I mean, I would. Yeah, let's go with yeah.
I mean, my opinion. I hate to jump in here, but I don't want anybody to be forced to spend any money to do anything.
Yep.
Right.
I think that we all have to buy too many licenses.
Agreed.
I personally feel like we're all taxed way too much, right?
Yeah.
So I don't want to force anybody to spend any money
I
unnecessarily,
agree
right?
wholeheartedly.
What I would implore, though, is anybody that does enjoy that stuff to do a little research,
Yeah.
understand what the federal duck stamp program is, understand how efficient it is with the money that you spend on your stamps and how that goes back to wildlife conservation and preservation. And please buy stamps.
Yeah.
And buy a
Right.
couple of them every year.
Yeah.
Because I tell you
Why
what,
not?
out of anything you can buy to give back to natural resources we have here in this country, it is the federal waterfowl duck stamp program.
You got
I
all
think
that.
that is the best
where
thing you
Zach
can do.
and I live, again, not far from a lot of those marshes in Lake Erie and stuff. I think it's like the first week in May. It's called a National Birding Week or something or other. And if you drive around anywhere, there's people all over the place with thousands of dollars of
there's tens of
binoculars
thousands of
and
people.
spotting scopes.
Yeah,
and you
for
go
sure.
and look at the license plates, and they're from states all over the place.
Over
And
the
they come
country.
from all over the country because the South Shore of Lake Erie is a natural staging ground for those birds before they move north. And to Zach's point, again, if those people, half of those people bought
What a beautiful
federal
thing that'd
stamps,
be.
that would be.
You can go
and
right
again,
to the
I don't
post
know, I can't
office.
speak behalf on what percentage of those people do or do not buy them, but to Zach's point, if you're going to enjoy that resource, then take the $25 and just buy that because you know it's going to go right back into those kinds of things too.
And I think a lot of birders or non-hunters do buy the stamps, but I think that the agencies that could do a better job at marketing that
No doubt.
to non-hunters, and educating people on how that $25 goes back towards
For
the
sure.
wetlands,
Yeah.
But
Yeah, that's. I know it was a big debate. I've heard it a few times from a few different pages or sources or whatever, and I was just kind of curious on your guys' input on that. But
Definitely don't think they should be forced just to enjoy what we should always be able to enjoy no matter what. Just like we're a natural living human being, you should be able to go into the marshlands of the United States of America and enjoy yourself. But if you're out there you know, and you really care about conservation, you care about those animals, and some of them they're anti-hunting, which it just breaks my heart that they have that mentality, but they don't realize how much we care about what they're enjoying. I think that's the biggest thing for me that I'm like, dang man, you know, like I get a bad rap being a hunter, but you know, they don't realize that there's been tons of work by these guys, especially Ducks Unlimited habitat research and work. And
well, not only that, but the equipment we buy, obviously those Pittman Robinson taxes, that all the outdoor equipment we buy goes to all that conservation and stuff too. So I don't know if the average bird watcher knows that or not. He may or may not. He or she may or may not.
Right down
not just
to
the
shells,
stamp, but all those kinds of the ammo, the guns, the decoys, the whatever else we buy.
And I bet a lot of hunters don't even know that.
Yeah.
Right.
So there's a lot of money that goes towards conservation.
No
too,
doubt.
So.
I mean, everything, camouflage. You know, if it has to do with hunting, we're putting forward some of that money towards conservation and stuff.
And it goes back to the same thing like we talked about earlier, was with don't complain about something or your march is doing like this going on in your marches and not give back or help out.
Yeah, contribute any way you can, man. For sure.
It's a great way to be.
Is there any big projects with DU guys down there?
We haven't. Zach and I haven't been part of the bigger scheme of discussions with Ducks Unlimited on what's going on with that. We generally get together with the area of Ducks, and they present to us what's going on in the state. I do know that year after year, Ducks Unlimited in Ohio specific continues to break numbers, and I think it was 1.8 million, Zach. I think it was around there. Again, I've got it all written down in a notepad at home.
I'm bad with the financials off the top of my head.
But I think they were shooting for, and that's the highest they've ever had as a high water mark in Ducks Unlimited in Ohio. And I think they're shooting for $2 million in pure money that goes to Ducks Unlimited in Ohio, and that's a huge number. And from what Zach and I have heard from the people that work for Ducks Unlimited is that again, things just continue to escalate with DU and continue to escalate with the conservation efforts and stuff. I think a lot of it is the stuff we talked about, but there's a lot of concern, I think, from consumers and the general public out there about the well-being and the environment. And again, all this money that we're talking about, whether it's a stamp, whether it's the Pittman Robinson stuff, whatever, all that stuff goes towards conservation. And I think
a lot more than I think people think.
Yeah,
right?
But I think a lot of people are hopping on that bandwagon and seeing what DU does for that stuff too. And again, there's other organizations out there like Delta Waterfowl and stuff that are equally helpful to the conservation effort and all that kinds of stuff. And I think basically ours and Delta's are the same kind of concept of conserving land and helping out the wetlands area. But again, I don't know firsthand. I just know that there's a lot, and I say a lot 3 times in a row. If I could say it in a font, it'd be 72 font.
Maybe we'll put that in the title.
Of conservation going into specific to wetlands in Northwest Ohio.
Yeah, it gets missed. The local efforts of Ducks Unlimited or a Delta Waterfowl does get missed by the average person, right? And it's DU and Delta, they don't advertise a whole lot on what they do, right? Because it's more behind the scenes.
Zach and I don't mean to butt in, Zach, but we were able to go to a function last year and got to talk with the CEO of Ducks Unlimited. And Zach, I think, brought up this exact topic to him. And his name, Putnam, I think was his last name.
Yep.
And he said, we do a bad job. So,
but I can't speak to Michigan, but in Northwest Ohio, there's the major project, like the crown jewel of the last 10 years has been the Howard Marsh restoration, right? So what DU has been doing is restoring, or the big projects anyways, is restoring agriculturally farmed land, which was previously black swamp, right? They're restoring that back to natural wetlands. Chris touched earlier on algae blooms in Lake Erie and how our natural marshes work as, he said, sponges or filters of water before it reaches. Well, not only is it cleaning our water, but it also is providing a bunch of habitat, for everything.
Right.
Waterfowl, small mammals, little fish, bugs and
insects,
critters,
everything.
of everything.
Plants.
So
whatever.
yeah. But there's, DU does a ton of stuff on the Lake Erie shoreline in Northwest Ohio. Works hand in hand with the ODNR, helps them out on, different grants, and then also equipment, when different marshes need things. And you hear some grumbling sometimes from people, like you said earlier, like maybe we wish they would have done this or they wish they would have done that. And the reality is, unfortunately, you just can't do everything for everybody.
Can't make everybody happy.
Yeah,
Well, everybody
but,
wants a ducks unlimited marsh in their backyard.
Sure.
And they want to walk in there and they want to shoot their limit of 6 ducks in
Every
10
day.
minutes.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's the reality is not going to happen. The real reason I got involved, and I was probably one of those guys that grumbled about DU and not having local access and all that kind of stuff. But again, going to Saskatchewan and seeing where all our money went to those wetlands in that prairie pothole region, it's unbelievable up there. I mean, you can't go anywhere without seeing DU land somewhere or posted or conserved by DU. And DU is huge up there. And I'm just, a little fraction of Saskatchewan there, let alone what's going on in other parts of Saskatchewan or Alberta or Manitoba and that kind of stuff. So I've seen firsthand, put my eyes on it, and hunted that land up there. And that's really why I got involved in DU. And I've seen it. I don't think the average person was as blessed or as fortunate to me to go up there and hunt waterfowl, but I've seen it. So that's why, my kind of rebuttal to those people about not having someplace local to hunt with DU, but they're getting better and better at it.
Do they have anything where they'll, after a certain time period of one of these marshes, when they get it to where it's at that apex point, like, do they ever open it up to the public?
Well,
or?
Howard Marsh that Zach indicated is one of those.
So that's basically like a draw type.
Yeah,
It is,
yeah,
correct.
yeah. So a lot of those funding was not just from ODNR, but also from DU and other partners.
That's really cool.
And now they have draws in their place, and they're able to draw that and actually hunt that marsh.
Yeah, and I don't know the exact acreage, but for somebody that doesn't know the project we're talking about multiple hundreds of acres of
Right.
farm field, that are now massive marsh complex. Like, I want to say that the one section of it has 7 to 9 miles of channels through the marsh that a person can kayak and canoe during the summer through. So it's a lot more than just waterfowl stuff.
Yeah.
This is somebody from Toledo or from Detroit can come down and they can walk
Just
through
check
an
it out.
awesome marshland.
Right.
Yeah, so.
Major good thing for our microbiology. in
Oh
the
yeah,
area.
absolutely.
That's for sure. But no, I feel like we could talk all day.
I know, man. I feel bad. So you guys don't know the time right now, but right now it's about noon on Saturday.
Yeah.
I told Kyle we were going to do this at 9 a.m. and then I walked around the show and I talked for 3 hours before I even walked over here.
Yeah,
But,
no, you guys are completely fine. There's a lot going on. I mean, I'm glad that, it's been a pretty good turnout this year, and then hopefully it just keeps growing with people, and over the years it just, keeps going upwards and gets better for everybody.
Yeah, the show's cool. I mean, I don't know the exact stats on this one versus other ones. What's up, brother? But this is a neat show.
Yeah.
If you're within, so today, just me being here talking to people I know, I've talked to multiple people that have driven a couple hours to come to the show.
Which is
right?
awesome to hear about.
It is, and even for me, like being somebody that had a booth here for many years, which I don't anymore, but I love coming here and still talking to everybody. Just talking hunting, just like you and I discussed when we were setting this thing up. Like, I just like talking about ducks. I like talking about fish. I like talking about boats. I like talking about what we can do to make it all
I'm ready
better.
to talk
like,
hunting. That's
yeah,
why.
Well, it's like in
man,
the beginning we were talking about maybe just kind of like breaking it in. Like I was going to mash everything together with like 10-minute segments of everybody, here and there, and here we are sitting at almost an hour already.
Yeah,
It's
really?
like,
Wow.
yeah, that's what I mean. It's just like you start talking about hunting, and it just keeps on going with it
Yeah,
all.
man.
Nothing wrong with that. I've been fishing too much. I'm ready to talk hunting.
Yeah, exactly.
I've been saying this guy quite a bit. I can't wait.
Yeah.
Can't
It's,
wait.
it's coming.
It's here.
coming.
It's always here every year before I know it.
Yeah, it's-
like
that's
I told
true.
Jimmy, I'm like, I need your help doing this, and this today
Yeah.
because it's time to convert from fishing to hunting. So
It's like it was the first day I went out, second weekend of season, I think it was, or first weekend of season. I didn't even realize I was going out the next. I mean, I had all my stuff and whatnot, but it's like I don't even have a license.
Man.
Like I need to get a license still, so it's just
September
crazy.
1st sneaks up on you fast
Oh, it
every
definitely
year.
does. It definitely does. But no, maybe we'll get you guys back on. You guys make a
for
trip
sure.
up, or who knows? Maybe I'll even jump in a layup with you guys. one
Yeah,
of these
man, that'd be
times.
cool.
Come on, we got a couple dates left.
I'll
Very
be having some diapers on. I like some extra diapers in my blind bag because I'll be crapping
be
my
all right.
pants. So, but no, I appreciate it. It's always nice seeing you guys and
Absolutely.
meeting you guys. And
Thank you, man.
Thanks
It's
for
good
having
meeting
us.
you.
yeah, getting to know you guys. So,
Yeah, for sure. An hour flies by, buddy.
what is going on, everybody? We're at day 2 of Point Malay Waterfowl Festival. Today we're sitting with some Gibraltar Duck Hunters Association. How you guys doing today?
Very good. How you doing?
Good.
Pretty good himself.
You guys want to good. You guys just want to introduce yourselves and kind of tell everybody who you guys are?
Absolutely. So I'm Tim Garrett. I'm the president of the Gibraltar Duck Hunters Association. Club's been around 21 years. Started with a few guys that just kind of wanted to start promoting waterfowling and waterfowling heritage in Southeast Michigan. Started off with over Youth Hunt Weekend trying to promote youngsters. We started an event every year where we hosted the Youth Hunt Weekend. We provided a barbecue for the kids, give them prizes and everything. It's now turned into such a big event, and it falls in the same weekend as the festival. We have to limit it to 50 kids. Every kid that hunted yesterday got a dozen decoys. They got hats. We had custom shirts made. We go to Cabela's.
awesome.
We go on a shopping spree and hand it out to kids just to get them off their computers, off the electronics, and out in the outdoors.
It's hard to do nowadays, that's for sure.
Absolutely.
That is hard to do. You want to introduce you?
I'm Zach Huber. I'm the treasurer of the club.
You're good.
I started it 2 years ago. I think this is year 3 for me. I met Tim a few years ago, and they invited me out the one day for a meeting, and fell in love with it. Was happy to help, start promoting and getting young kids in here and whatnot. Help donating money back to, Point Mulet. A few years ago, we donated the brand new boat ramp. We did
That's
a bunch
awesome.
of other stuff. So
A lot of stuff behind the scenes that people just expect to get done and don't want to put work in. to do
Absolutely.
it. So, how did that hunt go yesterday? You guys see a
Very
lot of
good.
birds?
Yeah. There was quite a few. They saw a lot flying. I mean, this is so early in the season, you don't get to shoot a lot through the day, but I heard there were a lot of birds flying out there, and any day you can go out in the morning and see the birds is a good day.
Right. No, that's for sure. And a lot of new hunters, old hunters.
A lot of new. We have a lot of kids who do it every year up till the age of 16. We had a lot of really youngsters from 10 years old on. So it kind of varies with all the kids. Yeah. We always get new ones every year, and we get a few repeats as well.
Yeah, that's always good though. The repeats and getting the new guys out there, but it's gotta kind of be nerve wracking in a sense. I mean, most of these kids hunt, like shoot a gun before or anything, or like you're teaching them, or
Oh yeah. So typically you go through the hunter safety course. Either that or they have to have a mentor license where someone's usually taking them out and shotgun safety. We promote safety and everything, and then. But yeah, it was always a good day.
That's
good. And a lot of the kids that have gone through it now take kids out.
Right.
And that's good. They have kids of their own. We've been doing it so long, 21 years, that a lot of the youngsters are now taking their kids and bringing them to our event.
just kind of makes you guys feel good and makes you guys realize you guys are doing the right thing out there. And we talked yesterday with Fish and Fowl, and that was a big talk for us, is just getting kids out, getting them used to it, getting them, like you said, off the computer, out of the house, and getting them used to duck hunting and everything. It's means a lot. Go
Absolutely.
a long way.
Yep.
There's a lot of noise going on in the background. So what you guys have dinners? You guys have? You guys go have everything really.
Yeah.
Don't you?
So in March, first weekend in March is our big wild game dinner. It's in Riverview at Arnaldo's.
Okay.
It's a packed house, sells out every year. We have a lot of gun prizes. It's a lot. We give out. We usually have fishing charters, duck prints.
That's awesome.
A whole lot of things that we give out.
That's awesome.
Last year we probably handed out almost 40 guns and raffles.
Wow.
So it's a really big, fun event.
That's
Food's
awesome.
phenomenal.
That's sweet.
Yep.
How long? You guys want to do a little background on you guys yourselves, like how you guys get into duck hunting, or where you guys grew up, or?
Yeah, so Tim, I grew up in Gibraltar. I've been coming to this waterfowl festival since I was a kid. My dad was a duck hunter through the 70s and 80s.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of grew up in the environment. I actually didn't even start until I was in close to 30 though myself.
Duck hunting.
I was more doing
Big
other
deer
things.
hunter?
So no, I actually just started. I've been fishing and everything.
Okay.
So I'm kind of doing. I've been duck hunting now about 20 years.
Oh, very nice.
So yeah,
very nice.
It's a great time. Kind of started with the club when the club started.
Okay, I gotcha. That's what I think. I've only been doing it 6-7 years now.
Yep.
But it's like once you start, you just can't stop.
Absolutely.
You just get hooked real quick on it.
Absolutely.
So I started deer hunting in high school, never got anything. Life took over after high school, got away from it. I met my now wife a few years ago, and my father-in-law invited me out duck hunting from a boat. Went
Right.
out, I shot 2 birds, instantly fell back in love with hunting again.
Yeah.
But I got tired of doing the 1 or 2 hunts, buying a license, and that's all they do.
Yeah.
They just go out 1 or 2, they wait until November, they don't go out to do the marsh hunts, they don't go out and do any of that stuff. So
That's
last year,
tough.
I just said, you know what, I've got all these decoys, I've got all this stuff, I'm going all in. I'm going to just start hunting, I'm going
That's
to go
awesome.
every day, I'm going to try and learn how to hunt a marsh. So I learned how to hunt a marsh last year. This year, I'm hunting fields, doing a lot more scouting, trying to get, watch more YouTube videos, watch all these tutorials, talk to everybody. Coming out here to the festival has been awesome to do that. I mean, I've talked to you a lot about, training the dog, doing all these things.
Yeah.
And that's why I like coming up here to the festival is you just get to learn so much.
Right. And that's the thing, like, for the podcast wise, we try to, like, we had, I said it before, where we had one of our buddies come on. They've hunted turkeys in 8 different states this past season. So it's nice to see, like, how they do it over here compared to here. Like, same thing you just said, like, how do those guys hunt compared to me, or what, just kind of learn new things. I mean, it could be a small, simple thing that, you're teaching a kid or you're teaching yourself off of a YouTube video that can go a long ways with, learning aspect and everything. But you just got a dog we talked about earlier.
Yeah.
Are you going to hunt her this year?
I would like to try, but I don't think she's ready for it. She's a long way from going out and retrieving birds. But will she probably go out on hunts with me? Yeah, just to get around the gun noises, to get around birds, just to retrieve, even if that's throwing the bumper for her off the water, just off the shoreline, just to get her
Just
moving.
used to it.
Yeah, used to it. Just try to get some excitement behind her. So.
Yeah, I mean, that's the biggest thing. I think too that could help out is bringing another dog out there so she can learn off of the other dogs, or it helped me with my little one that you met today, my older lad Ellie. She kind of mentored kind of thing, and teaching the ropes, and said you kind of been struggling a little bit with training wise, but I mean, bringing another dog in or finding a training partner. I mean, it's like going to the gym, right? It's easier when, like, you got a buddy pressing you to go instead of just, like, you waking up and wanting to go but not really wanting to go.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, I mean, maybe we can get swap numbers after this and then, do some training and
Absolutely.
whatever.
That'd be awesome.
So, yeah, that would be really good.
So one of the big things we're doing today, so yesterday was our big youth hunt event. Today is the Duck Hunters Tournament.
Okay.
So the Gibraltar Duck Hunters are the judges
Gotcha.
for today's tournament.
Gotcha.
So if you've never seen it, it's a phenomenal event. There's the sneak boat shoot, the punt boat race, the layout hunt, the marsh hunt. It's a great thing to come down and watch.
Yeah, I'm
So if
definitely have
anyone
to
has
check that
time.
out.
Yep.
Definitely have to check that out. What is there anything like behind the scenes that's coming up from like you guys, or any big projects from Gibraltar Duck Hunters?
So I did talk to the DNR about a week or so ago on other upcoming projects. They're looking at possibly doing another handicap blind.
Oh, very nice.
We donated to that a couple years ago. We're looking
Very
maybe
nice.
putting another one in.
That'd be
And
awesome.
the other thing we talked about are the rollers over on the banana dike, getting
Okay.
into the managed area. There's some maintenance that needs to be done, and we talked about maybe getting some quotes together because we have some funds available with our, and then our next dinner coming up next year, we'll have some money to help contribute to get those fixed and maybe enhance them a little
That'd be awesome.
to help the hunters.
That'd be awesome. 'Cause I know it's like I said before, it's like people complain about it, but they don't want to put the work in to do it. It's like you got to come out and put some time in, and if you want, it's like the festival. People always say how slow it is or whatever it is, and you got to come out and help out for things to get good, and
Absolutely.
like the new rollers and everything.
Absolutely, we had a lot of people step up this year. This year's festival
That's awesome.
is a great, great turnout this year. A lot of people, a lot of happy people. So
Yeah, it
yes.
seems like even yesterday, I mean, it's still early today yet, but yesterday, I mean, there was a ton of people walking around. Everybody was talking to each other, and this is our first time doing it here.
Okay.
So, I mean, obviously, been coming here for a few years now, but having a booth and set up, and I mean, it was a lot of fun just interacting with everybody here.
Absolutely.
So, but I think that, I mean, you guys got anything else like coming up, or any plans, trips this year for hunting?
Yes, actually, we have a club trip coming up in the end of October to Seaboing, Saginaw Bay.
Oh, nice.
So we'll be, getting some little motels out there, hunting Saginaw Bay, using some of
awesome.
the public blinds out in the field. Fish Point. We've been out there for several of us have been out there many times, and it's a great place to hunt.
How many guys are a part of the duck?
Around 10 guys right now.
That's awesome.
Yeah, we've actually in the last couple of years brought some great new guys in. Trying to help split up the work. We had some turnaround in there, but it's nice to have new faces, new ideas in all our events.
Yeah, that's good.
It's been rough because I'm the youngest one there.
Oh, so you're the mule.
I'm
You're
the mule for
yeah.
all of this. Yeah.
Okay.
Like I said, I've only been here for 3 years, and after year one, they're like, "Hey, we need a new treasurer." So here you go.
Yeah.
And so it's been a good time. I enjoy hanging out with everybody up here, even though they might be more than half my age. And
That's why I went into the meeting the other day. I walked in there. I'm like, wow. Okay, Dick's trying to beat me with his cane, and it's like, holy
Right.
smokes, what's going on
Yep.
in here? I had him and Bob on here, and I think Dick talked. I introduced Dick, and next thing you know, 2 hours later, he's still talking and telling stories about, the good old days. And
Oh,
stuff.
absolutely.
But is there anything that's changed? I guess while like the good old days, people say the good old days are done and over with duck hunting. Is there anything that's different from back then till now?
Well, from what I hear, like when my dad hunted back in the
Yeah.
70s, 80s, you get clouds of bluebills
Yeah, it's what I heard.
overheads, and I've never seen them here.
Right.
We do well. I love it, but I'd love to experience those days again.
Yeah.
So
That's so you guys are mainly hunting the lakes? You guys
Yes.
hunting fields too, or
mostly marshes and out in the lake. So
Okay.
usually for about the first month, we're in marshes with a mud boat, and then we have a
Okay.
lake boat
Oh,
that
nice.
we use. That we kind of go anchor out, kind of similar to layout hunting. We do layout hunting a little bit, but
I
we're
gotcha.
getting a little older there, and jumping between boats
Yeah.
in rough weather is not always the easiest
Icy
thing nowadays.
conditions and-
Absolutely. So we actually set up a boat where you can hunt 4 guys,
Very
and you
nice.
set up a layout spread next to it.
That's awesome. Man.
And yeah, it's a great time.
I want to say I've only hunted the lake. Never hunted out of a layout boat. Kind of scared to do it because it's just like something different. You know what I mean? Sitting that low to the water, that eerie kind of feeling. I feel like. Never even really went out into the lake, even like on a boat and targeted diver ducks.
Really? Well, maybe when we need to do a show from a hunt show.
Yeah, let's do it.
You want to do it? We'll
Let's
plan
do
it.
it, yeah.
We'll do a Gibraltar Duck Hunter special.
I'll do that, and I'll take you guys out into the field and do a
Perfect.
We'll swap it out.
Sounds great.
Bring some kids out there and get it done. Then.
Absolutely.
That'd be a good time. Sweet. But no, I appreciate you guys coming out. It was like super short notice. I mean, I know everybody's been so busy. I had a couple planned yesterday, but like I said, everybody's just running around making sure that the event's going as smoothly as possible. So I appreciate you guys coming and stopping by, and hopefully in the future we'll figure something out.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thanks for coming out. It's great to have you here and get some more publicity. And
Yeah. Is there anywhere you guys want to is it Facebook or Instagram or
there's
anywhere to reach you guys?
Yes, Gibraltar Duck Hunter Association has a Facebook page.
Okay.
That's the best place to reach us. You can message us directly through there. Okay. Our email is gibraltarduck@gmail.com if anybody wants to reach out.
Perfect.
That's managed by myself and a couple other folks in the group.
Perfect. Well, I appreciate it, and I'm sure we'll be talking more throughout the day.
Yep. Thank you.
Until next
Appreciate
time,
it.
guys. What's going on, everybody? We're back. Same day. Second day of Point Boulet Waterfowl Festival. We're here with Mike with Flipping Birds. Mike, how you doing?
Good, buddy. Great to be back together.
I've missed you, man. I get you a little bit closer, that's all. Yeah, no, it's noisy. We got all these people around here and stuff like that, so it's just hard.
Right.
Hearing. So all this background music, sound, whatever, people screaming, calls going off, it's nuts.
It's good
But,
times, though.
Yeah, it's a blast out here, man.
I love it.
This is our first year doing this, and like, gotta take a weekend off of hunting season. But like, the people that we've met, the people that we've talked to, it's great. Like me and Trav couldn't be more thankful for who we've met out here.
So this is really why I started the apparel company. This is why I started Flipping Birds, was for the
Interaction,
for the connections that you're going to make,
Right, it's
inevitably through the waterfowl
Right.
world, especially. It's not unlike the deer hunting world where you've got the deer hunting diehards,
You gotta be all quiet and
Right.
don't tell anybody where you're at.
Right,
I mean,
right.
hunting like that is kind of like the same thing, but you know
It
what I
is.
mean.
It is a little bit, but the waterfowl world, there's such a it's so big.
Right.
And there's so many of us, and we're all like-minded. We all love the same thing, and
Doing it for the love and the passion of
that's
just
it.
the
That's
birds.
it. Sure, that's it, and that's why I started the company, was to get our stuff on as many people's backs as I could.
So let's talk about that. Let's
Yeah.
talk about the company. Like
Yeah.
what is Flipping Birds?
So we're just a small time apparel company. It started really with our love of snow goose hunting.
Which is crazy with being you're from Brooklyn.
I am
right?
from Brooklyn, Michigan. Yeah,
So,
we don't have snow
A
geese.
guy
We
from
don't have snow
Michigan,
geese in
a guy
Brooklyn.
from Michigan loving snows that much.
Right. Well, I found him in 2010. We were real lucky, and as I mentioned a little bit on the previous podcast, we were super lucky to have a great guide the first couple 3 years when
Right.
we did this, who we just bombed with questions, and he was gracious enough to answer
Love
every
it.
one of them. And then I think our first group was probably 5,000 birds.
Really?
And 1,000 of them gave it up first pass and started maple leafing in, and I said, that's it. I don't care if I do anything else ever again. I'll do this every day.
So the other podcast that we're on that is not up on the channel right now. It was on the old one. So that we're gonna have to redo.
And that's
one.
fine,
We're gonna have to
yeah.
do a longer one.
You and I could definitely sit down and get that done.
Yeah, like we just said, like we could talk for hours and hours and hours. And beer after beer after beer. You
That's
know what I
right.
mean?
That's right.
So it might get slurred towards the end of it a little bit, but that's all right.
Make it a little messy, but
We're still
we'll
having a
get
good
through it.
time. Right,
That's right.
Right.
Yeah, the connections is really why I do it. You know,
Yeah.
I know there are hundreds of thousands of other guys that are out there that are wound up about snow geese like we get.
Yeah.
I just do it. I literally am doing it as a way for them to say, yeah, this is what I'm about.
Right.
Right. You go anywhere and get a T-shirt with a white-tailed deer, a mallard duck, Canada goose.
Yeah.
The snow goose options out there are pretty limited. So that's kind of why we did it. We saw a need.
We got to get out there one time. We talked a little bit about it already,
There's an
and we
open
need
invite,
to
bro.
go.
Yeah, it's an open invite.
It'd be so much fun.
We've got our own spread. We've got our own land that we hunt every single year down there in northwest Missouri. We would absolutely.
How'd you guys
love-
do this past year? Did you get down there?
We did. We did. The numbers were thick,
Were they?
bigger than we've ever seen them when we've been down there. So we usually watch the refuge numbers down there starting in February.
Is that Facebook page you said, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. Los Bluffs National Wildlife Refuge.
Okay.
It's a major stop in their migration back north.
Right.
So we watch those numbers and we watch them build. Once it gets to 750,000 on the refuge, reported on the refuge, we really start to focus in on,
Going down.
okay, we've got to get on the road here pretty quick. This year when we went down, the numbers were at 1.3. I mean, like overnight they went from 500,000 to 1.3. And then again overnight they went from 1.3 to 2.2 million. It was insanity.
I don't even know if I'd know what to do if I see that amount of birds.
And that's one of the things that we try to focus on while we're down there. It's not just about hunting. It's about taking time to go down to the refuge. Just look at that.
Right.
Because it is impossible to describe if you've never seen
That just,
Yeah.
I don't even know what to call that. I mean, it's like just
it's just a
gorgeous, beautiful. You know
it's
what I
a
mean?
Mass,
There's so
it's
many.
a mass migration, and it is impossible to describe.
Right.
So especially if we have new people with us, because I invite different
There's
people to
awe.
come down every year.
Right.
I say we have to go to the refuge and we have to see
Just
this.
check it.
Yeah, they have foot traffic and they have an auto trail around the perimeter of the refuge.
I gotcha.
That is super cool to just drive around and see the birds flying. They just fill it up.
How was the avian flu down there this year? Was it bad?
And there wasn't any this year. Last year it was pretty bad.
Was it?
We were down there at the very start of the outbreak last spring. In fact, when we were driving around the refuge,
Can I sit over
spring
here?
of
Of course.
22,
In the shade?
I said to my boy, I said, we've seen cripples down here before, but there are 10 times as many cripples as I've ever seen. And 2 days later, they closed the refuge.
Do you want a
because they
steady one, or you
discovered
Let me get you a steady one.
So,
I haven't seen too much over here with people wise or bird wise with maybe one or two. I haven't really heard too many like Canada
Yeah.
goose and ducks and stuff.
I
I mean,
heard too much myself.
you hear it, but it's not like very obviously the snow goose bunches up a lot more than our birds ever shoot.
Sure. Yeah, it's not as prevalent up here for sure, but I think when you have that many of them together,
Right.
that
Yeah, there's
seems-
such a bunch. I mean, you just said 1.3.
Sure,
I
sure.
mean, that's insane.
Yeah,
Absolutely
and
insane.
it's Mother Nature's way of balancing things out a little bit. You
Right.
know, they need some help. That's
Yeah.
why the conservation order exists in the spring.
Yeah.
Is because of the immense population of them.
Right.
I read some reports, probably a month ago or so now, where the hatch this year was another banner hatch.
Really?
Yeah, another banner
See,
hatch.
I heard something the other day, even on social media and stuff, about something about the snow geese and limits and killing them and stuff. It's like, look at the spring and how many birds are getting killed, but it's like they just keep on doubling every single year. It's insane the amount of numbers, and like every year they just keep going up with those birds.
Mm-hmm.
It's insane.
I had a conversation a bunch of years back with our guide, our original guide, and he said that 20% of the snow goose hunters kill 80% of the snow geese that are killed. Right?
Say that again, though?
20% of the snow goose hunters
Yep.
kill 80% of the snow geese that are killed. So you've got a very small portion of the hunters that are getting most of the birds.
Right.
And I think it's why, or it's a little bit of an explanation as to why those numbers haven't increased like the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Services had originally intended.
Right.
Another factor in that is that for a period of time between, I'll say, maybe 2014, 2019. Like 3 of the 5 years in that stretch, and the years may be off. It's
Right.
not important,
Yeah.
the exact years, but there was a period there where 3 of the 5-year period, there was a new record hatch every spring.
Really?
So you've already got numbers that are insanely out of control.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm talking, they estimate the snow goose population to be somewhere around 20 to 22 million birds. When this conservation order was started in 97, 98, somewhere in there, it was estimated just in the Mississippi flyway that there was only 3 to 5 million, but that number was actually closer to 8 million. So you've got a federal conservation order in place where they say no plug in your gun, there's no daily bag limit, and you can use electronic game calls to entice these birds to come down. Please just help us thin the population.
You can't.
And that population has tripled
Yeah, you can't
in
do
25 years.
It's insane.
Yeah. Well, they get hunted 10 months of the year, so they're a very weary bird.
It is kind of weird sometimes seeing, like, you know, the snow goose guides down in Arkansas or wherever, Missouri, wherever. Like it's like March or whatever it is, and they're just banging away.
Just
It's like,
banging
man, I
away.
wish I could do that. Right
Yeah.
now.
Well,
But
you can.
at the same time, though,
anytime you want.
well, at the same time though, it's like I'm so glad I'm not doing that. That I walk out there right now. It's like
Right.
forget about it. I do not want to be trudging through all that stuff because it looks messy, man.
It can be really messy. It
Yeah.
can be really messy, but we've also hunted in lightweight long sleeve t-shirts.
Right.
You know,
Which would be awesome too.
Sure. It's 60 degrees and sunny during the day, and you're just out there hanging out, doing it.
So with the passion and love behind the snow goose hunting, is it kind of like the waterfowl, like you get introduced to it and you just find a new love and like you just, you know, you're all in with it kind of thing? Because like for me with, you know, we mainly goose hunt in the field and stuff for years now, and even to this day, I'm just trying to find any information I can to help us out, or like, you know, your interior geese. Like a lot of people don't realize there's 6, 7 different species of Canada geese.
Right.
So like, it's just, is that kind of how you fell in love with the snow goose? It's something new and you just went all in with it?
Well, so for us, and for me specifically, our first bunch that we were ever hunting was about 5,000 birds. And our guide had explained to us that he put them to bed the night before on the river, and that when they lifted off, it was going to sound like there was a commercial airliner taking off right behind us.
Just the wings and everything?
Just the
Sound.
sheer enormity of them, the numbers of them, and those out of those 5,000, about 1,000 of them gave it up first pass. And maple leafing in Ross's geese, snow geese, so 3 species. It was everything. It was everything, and there was a bunch of cheese mixed in there, and they just gave it up first pass. We sat up and never scratched a feather.
See, I honestly don't know if I can even pull a trigger just because of the fact that, like, I would just be in awe,
It was
and
insane.
it's like,
It
you
was
know what I
insane.
mean? Like,
We never scratched a feather. We never scratched
You
a
didn't
feather.
even shoot
no,
one?
no. Never killed a bird out of that first group. But the maple leafing and just the holy net, I've never seen anything like that
Right.
in my life. For me, it was instant.
Right.
For me, it was instant, and I said I have to do this every day that is possible for the entirety of the rest of that. Yes, it is. When they do it,
they're doing it.
they're doing
They're coming
it.
in. It's like geese on water. You know
Sure.
what I mean? Like, they're just,
Sure.
they're committing. There's no question about it, you know?
Right. And I mean, it's frustrating. Yes. It's a lot of work. Yes. But when they do it, you don't care. You don't care that it takes 4.5 hours to set a spring.
There a lot of pressure down by you, though? You guys get a
It's
lot of people
getting
coming in?
more. It's getting more. So we started freelancing and doing it ourselves in the spring of 2016. And our spread was the only spread within about 10 to 12 miles. There was nobody hunting. No, there was nobody hunting in the area that we were hunting. This last spring, I called, I think in November or December, to call for March at the hotel that we've been staying at since 2016. And she told me it's the first time it's ever happened. I ran into a couple, 3 different guide services down there. This year was the first year that we ever struggled to get permission down there. Took us a couple of days to get it through. So yeah, the pressure is increasing. I think some of that had to do with the number of birds there, because every guide service was there, where some of them usually have gone north by then.
I gotcha.
everybody was in town because that's where the massive birds was at.
Well, if you're promoting it all over social media, you know, it's out for the public, you know, why wouldn't you go down there if there's that many birds down there? So you really can't complain about hunters and stuff. But
No, and you know, for the most part, everybody in the area that we hunt gets along great. I'm lucky to have some connections that I've made with different outfitters down there. So if we're struggling, we can always just kind of reach out for a little bit of help.
that's nice.
See if they've got a field or something.
So it's not like over here, you know, somebody fighting 60 yards away from you. That's good.
I mean, it can be. There are certainly with social media, you always read about a little bit of that, but
Right.
I've never experienced it. Everybody's always been pretty chill.
Even working the booth this weekend, like I said, it's the first time ever doing it, and just talking to everybody, like you said. I mean, hearing the stories, even this youth season, like people screaming at each other on the water. It's like, man, I'm so glad I don't have to deal with that anymore.
It's just
You know,
unnecessary.
once in a while, like, you know, we had something happen last night where it was some drama or whatever it was, but, you know, once in a while we get to deal with it, we have to deal with it, unfortunately, but we're never going to get away from it, but it's nothing compared to out here.
Sure.
You know what I mean? On
Yeah.
the water and having to deal with that kind of stuff.
Yeah, we're fortunate. Pretty fortunate that.
That's nice. That's good. So we've met a while ago now.
It's been a minute. It's been a minute.
Talked about doing this podcast for a while. How long have you? I mean, I wasn't able to make it here last year. How long have you been coming here with a booth?
So last year was our first year. I have not.
See if he's
We've
packing up.
talked also about
Right.
if I ever give this little adventure
Take it off.
Go
the
see if my
attention that it
partner's
needs.
packing up.
Well, because you are already even on that logo, and
Gotta help him
you know,
pack.
as of right now, all you have is the logo and the shirts and the apparel. And,
It's more of a brand than it is anything.
right.
You know. So this is our second year. Last year we did very well. It was received well. It was very easy to be up here. I love being around like-minded. You know, it's easy for me to talk snow goose hunting. It's easy for me to talk waterfowl hunting when those are the people that are visiting the show anyway.
Yeah.
So I did a show in February in Nova. Big show. Cost a lot of money there, and did a couple hundred in sales for the entire weekend. It was just my wrong crowd.
I mean, it's wrong crowd is a big thing for sure, but like you said, like just the atmosphere around here for these last 2 days. I know you couldn't make it yesterday, but like the atmosphere today, even it's obviously a little bit slower on Sunday and stuff. You can't beat those shows, the trade shows. Hear the calling going off in the background, and I mean, I love it.
See kids walking around with duck calls and goose calls.
Yeah,
And I mean, that's really what we're hoping for, right? I mean, I've been waterfowl hunting for. I just finished my 35th season.
Okay.
So I've been doing it.
It was nice too because we had Gibraltar Duck Hunting Association on this morning, and they had all the duck hunts that were coming through and taking the kids out earlier or yesterday, I believe it was. And they had a lunch for them. I did a call seminar for the kids yesterday. It's just such a nice thing to see all the kids out here blowing their calls and blowing everybody's eardrums out. And everything.
I said it to the gentleman next to me a little bit earlier. There were a couple of kids going by hammering on the duck calls. And I said, look, a couple of future world champions right there.
Yeah.
If we do it right.
Exactly. That's the biggest thing.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of why we're doing it, right? I've taken both of my boys, both of my sons have been waterfowl hunting with me since they were 5.
God, I meant to meet. Yesterday was so busy. I wanted to introduce myself to him. But like I said, I know he was up here yesterday. For our first time, I was just all over the place. I'm helping GK out this year. Yeah, well, when you guys come in, we'll have to, we'll show you in the studio and stuff like that.
Yeah, I'll bring him with.
Yeah, do that.
Yeah,
And then we'll have a big podcast and maybe too many beers that night.
There you go. He's not quite the talker I am, but
that's all right,
all
though.
right.
Yeah, that's
Fit
all
in
right.
fine.
Exactly.
Fit in
Fit him
fine.
in, get to know him,
Yeah.
see what he's about, his thoughts on snow goose hunting and everything.
Just, it's funny to me because he's 27 now.
Okay.
Right? And for a lot of years, I thought I was just blowing hot air.
Right.
But little by little, he shows me that he picked up every word of it. And it's funny to me that when we go down there and there's just 2 of us, it ends up just being me and I a lot, right? And we're setting out 15 to 1,800 decoys, so it takes us about 4.5 hours to spread
He's using socks.
Yeah, it's mostly socks. We've got some silos. We use some
All right, we got
rotors
the
and
buck
some
run
sliders.
getting ready to start here in about 15
obviously we've
minutes.
talked a little bit
Remember,
about
this
the
is
rotary
a
that we're trying to
view
go
style where you do not have to have hip boots or waders. You can run in your shoes.
So what's funny to me is that
We have a men's and
he takes the
a
lead
women's senior.
more now than I do.
The winner gets a $100 bill.
It's just how he's built.
Walk from
He's
A&W
a
or
worker,
plaque.
and it's how he's
Now
built.
we have the
And
kids.
he
We have
wants
both
to
boys
be more
and
perfect
girls.
than I want him to be.
They're going to run with
Yeah,
a
so
plaque,
yeah,
hat.
and
I got some gift certificates
his
to
dog
A&W.
has a motor that
You
doesn't
are
stop.
interested in the
We talked
view
about
and
that
the
too.
thrill.
Yeah, about
Hip
that. Did he
run
bring
is
this
called the
He
muck
did,
run.
No.
he did,
It's
but
located right over
his
there
dog
behind
has a
the
motor
Dust
that
Eleven
doesn't
in
stop.
Wood.
He's young,
Sign up.
but he's
We'll be
ambitious.
starting this thing in
and
about 15 minutes.
It's been really
15
cool to
minutes.
see that dog connect the dots over
Yeah.
the last couple of years.
So it's just like a satisfying thing
Oh,
to see. You know
so
what I mean?
satisfying.
That's like our dog right there. You can see Rip that you had earlier. Like,
Yeah.
this was his first year out goose hunting. It was funny because like geese were his biggest hit. We
Sure.
were happier than a biggest
Sure.
bird doing it.
And that dog's motor, I mean, when we're down there, we're in the field probably 14, almost 15 hours a day.
Really
By the time we're done picking and stuff, the wind's going to be different.
ordering
Sure.
pizzas out there.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, yep. It's happening. We've left the
Oh,
field. One guy goes and gets everybody dinner and come back. Yeah. But his dog is just a champ. Just he'll go get them and just come. They'll bring him back and turn around and say, "Yeah, let's do that again. Let's do that more."
Have you thought about like sandhill trains at all?
It's kind of on the list. Yeah, it's kind of.
I mean, I thought about it. It's just I don't know. I want to try it at least once.
I'm going to get to Canada one of these days. I keep saying that. I'll be 50 in November. I originally was going to try to plan something before Saskatchewan for a group of guys for my 50th. It's obviously not going to work this year,
Right.
but I'll get there. And yeah, that's
That'd be so
it's
much
on the list. It's on the list.
Saskatchewan, we had some guys on earlier from Toledo's DU chapter,
Yeah.
and he was saying how it's just like a surreal feeling up there. Like the amount of birds. I think one day they shot the limited ducks. And there was 9 different species
Yeah.
that they shot. And it's like, holy smokes.
And it's like these snows, as much pressure as they're under, they get hunted 10 months out of the year.
It's crazy.
And everybody thinks, man, there was 2.2 million birds on the refuge down there.
Right.
How come you guys didn't just smash a million of them every day? And
We're tougher than that.
yeah, it is. It is because they get hunted 10 months out of the year, so they become incredibly weary. When there's that many sets of eyes on you, the slightest little, you're sure about that, makes the whole group just go away. Because all it takes is one bird to peel out, and the rest of them follow. So
Crazy to think about though. Like you got one bird out of your 5,000 that's spinning on top of you, and it just takes that one
that's
goose.
it. That's it. And then they're out of there.
So you all whited out?
Yes.
Is that how you guys
So
usually do it?
usually, or in the past, that's the way we've done it. Just standard layout lines.
I gotcha.
Brushed in very well, and socks all the way around the blinds. But it can, because they get used to, just like everything else, they get used to seeing it.
Yeah.
So this year we actually hunted out of an A-frame. I didn't think there was any way that it worked.
Yeah.
But we were literally middle of a cornfield in an A-frame that we brushed in very well and did well. It was surprising to me how well we did.
I think that's a big thing though too, with like just being different. Like I tell everybody, even like the gooseling and stuff, like, I'm not making an L out there, I'm not making a U, I'm making it just, I don't know, even there's not even a shape for it. I'm just throwing it out there, making it look realistic. It's like duck hunting. You see these guys out here, 10 dozen decoys or whatever, 2 spinners. Everybody's got 3 dozen mallards, 2 spinners. Everybody does. Throw 4 out there and throw a couple on a jerk string in the corner. You know what I mean? Just be different than everybody else. Stand out.
It reminds me of the first year we did this on our own. Right? We were coming off of 3 absolutely abysmal years with different guide services. Our original guide's dog passed, and I said, I'm not going to do it anymore without going. Right? So here's some recommendations. We had a great season, great spring that next year, but then tried to branch out a little bit and use different guide services and had 3 really atrocious years. So I chose to buy my own spread. It was only about 800 decoys.
Yeah, only about.
I say only about 800 decoys, but ran into a guide service the first morning we had taken a break for lunch. There's a little gas station down the road. Ran into a guide service that was passing through moving north. And they asked me, they said, hey, is that your guys' spread down the road? And I said, yeah, it sure is. And he just laughed and he said, that's cute. I know you're going to shoot with that little video spread. And I said, well, actually, we've got 26 so far today, so I think we're doing okay. But it speaks to being a little bit different. Obviously, with Emmett's numbers, because they're attracted to numbers, so you're never going to be. We had this year probably a quarter to a half down to the east of us. That was almost 200,000. And you're never going to be.
No, you're not. Especially I don't care if it's tents to the beach. You're not going to keep live birds.
Right. So, but it's just about being a little bit different, like you said, because everybody's got 6 rotary machines. They've got flyers stuck out everywhere, and they do get used to it because they're hunted again 10 months out of the year. They get used to that stuff. So that's what we do. We try to be a little bit different. We try to set things up just to shape different. We try a little bit different tactics every year because we're just out there trying to learn and do what we can do.
Right.
Every year you pick up something else where you hope to employ it again the next spring. And only being able to do this 7 to 10 days a season for us is probably why we're still so wound up about it.
Exactly.
Guys that do it every day
it's a little bit different situation.
Yeah, they get beat down by it a little bit.
Right.
So.
No, I appreciate it. We're going to keep it kind of light,
Yeah.
simple. We're going to get really into the nitty gritty.
Sure.
You got a booth over there that I know that people might be walking by or whatever it is.
I'm always going to take the time here.
Yeah, no, talking to you, texting, Instagram, whatever it is, it's always a good time talking to you and appreciate it. And,
I've been looking forward to this for some time now. We've been talking about doing this while we were here for some time.
Yeah. Yeah, yesterday was so hectic for me with bouncing back on booths and making sure everything's going. Unfortunately, I couldn't get as many done as I wanted to. But it's so nice, just you get caught up talking to people. Like I was talking to some guys yesterday on a podcast. That will be I don't know if I'm going to do them all separately or drop them all one big one, like a Point Boulay festival. I don't know. We'll see what happens. But maybe hour and a half. They had a drive. They were leaving. Next thing you know. They're like, yeah, we'll do a small one, Next thing you know, we look down, it's like 45 minutes, 50 minutes or something like that. Smokes. Because their buddy was standing there in the corner, and he's like, oh, what the heck? I've been standing here for an hour. Like, when are you guys going to finish up?
I don't know, already.
It's hunting season, dude. You start talking about hunting, it just rolls.
It's the easiest thing in the world.
It just rolls.
The easiest thing in the world.
But for keeping it light, is there any, where can people reach you?
So we've got a little bit of a website. It's www.flippingbirdsapparel.com. I'm in the process of switching platforms for our website. I found one that's a little bit more user-friendly. So I'm in the process of uploading all the products and getting product descriptions in.
Okay.
Will and Hunter with Lockdown Sound Calls have been a huge help with that.
I wish they were here today.
Yeah, I do too. So yeah, we're just kind of in the process of flipping that out. Always can reach out on social, Facebook. I don't do much with our Facebook page anymore, but you can always send me a message on Facebook or Instagram. I've got pictures of stuff all over the place.
No, question. I meant to ask this earlier too. Do you make the shirts? Do you print them?
I don't. I have suppliers that do it for me.
Okay, I got you.
So I had a vision for the logo in my brain a bunch of years back.
We got to square that up a little bit. It's kind of off-center.
It is a little bit off-center, but we'll figure it out. So I had this vision in my brain. I'm lucky enough to know an incredibly talented artist who then brought it to life in its current form. It is the logo it's the only logo that we've had.
Right.
But I've wrestled with suppliers, right? Because I feel like the difference between our stuff and some other stuff that is out there in different worlds.
Right.
Is that I spend an absorbent amount of time trying to make sure that these shirts are all tribal cotton, so they're just super soft from the time you get them to the time that they may or may not wear out.
Right.
All of our hoodies are a brushed cotton, so they're super soft, and they all are a midway. They're a 7-ounce hoodie with a fleece lining. Perfect. There are mornings that you go down there in the spring where it may be 45 degrees when you wake up, but it's going to get to 62 or 3 by the time lunch rolls around. So for me, it's about, if it's not something that I think that I would wear, I'm not going to ask anybody else to wear it.
Exactly.
It's just, things have to be right. It's been a struggle, but
They're doing it the right way, though.
It's a worthwhile struggle because I want to put out a product that
People talk about.
yeah,
Right.
yeah, people are happy to wear.
Right.
It's not a T-shirt that you buy and you're disappointed when it gets there, so you fold it up and it stays in the closet or stays in your drawer in your dresser for the rest of its time. I want people to be looking for this sweatshirt or this T-shirt as their favorite one that they're putting on and chill on a Sunday and watch football or
Right.
Whatever.
I think that's our biggest thing too. Even being here, interaction. I want somebody to wear our shirts just like you want to wear your shirts. Like, put meaning to it behind it. You know what I mean?
Sure. I sold one an hour ago, and I turned around just a minute ago on my way down here, and here comes that young man with my
shirt on.
He took the shirt he had off, and put mine on.
I think we just sold him a
Yeah,
call. Yeah,
you
okay.
did. Yep,
Okay.
you did. And that's why I do it, right? I mean, I love like snow boots.
Yeah.
I don't expect people to love it as much as I do, but if you do, hit me up, man. I'd love to have one of my shirts on your back.
Right.
And our cost is way better than anything that's out there because I don't want to make $1 bazillion doing this. I just want to make a little bit so that I can go buy some cool people.
Right. Right. Meet some cool people.
That's
huh?
it, man.
Cool people
That's
learn
it.
a thing or two. I think
It's
we
just
should
an
go.
avenue for me to make connections with like-minded individuals and help these birds a little bit more.
And you got some big things coming down the pipeline
Got
that
some
I'm
great
excited
things
about.
coming down. I'm so excited.
I know it's
about
been a
this
headache.
boy. I'm so excited. And yeah, I mean, the testing phase has been a nightmare. It's been a nightmare. We've got a couple pieces of it that just continue to fail on us, but I've made some new connections with some people that think they can help us get it finished, and I think that it'll be something that's different than anything that's out there. And again, it's about being different. If they see this in the snow and spread and they've never seen it before, other than with their buddies,
Right.
then I think we've got something. So it's exciting. It's
Yeah.
exciting.
No,
It's been a test of our patience.
I'm excited to see it.
I'm excited to be able to have you see it. Yeah.
But, no, Mike, I appreciate it. Like I said, we'll figure something out. I'd love to have you guys over for a hunt or something,
For sure.
and
Likewise.
get one in. And
Likewise.
you gotta do. We talk too much not to
Right.
get a hunter.
And we've got to get you down there.
Yeah, we gotta get you out of the deer woods first. That's
Well,
what we gotta do. That's what we gotta do. I know there's
I
some big
wasn't-
ones running around your backyard,
So
but you gotta get
dumb
out
and
there.
had all those cameras out.
I'm the same.
It's so much easier.
Mine just disappeared. I had
Mine
some really
don't.
nice-
That's the problem. Is that mine don't. They just keep showing up. That's the
We'll shoot it early, and then we can figure it out from there, right? Yeah, shoot it early. But no, Mike, I appreciate it, and let's get back to the festival.
Let's get back to the festival.
Thanks, guys.